This is a presentation I want to offer to you such that you can download it later because it helps discussions around what are we going to do? Well, if you look around this room, everybody's playing with their devices, phones and laptops and cameras and games and Apple Watches. Well, you've all got one thing in common. Your batteries, if you keep playing, will be dead before midnight. So the subject of batteries is at hand. And before I dive into that too much, I want to say one thing. You're with the right organization. IEEE, Consumer Electronics, and other IEEE societies, they form a very important function to the world. IEEE and the societies create working groups, forums, big groups we call conferences, publications where people can talk. And they can talk about problems such as every battery on the planet is going to die by midnight, or your car is going to fail, or your dial into the web, which I can't get to right now, or I would show you a demo. Everything depends on us for the future. So the IEEE has created a variety of working groups and forums to talk. Future Directions is one of them. So my hat is off to Kathy and Tom and everyone else. Yeah.
Your head is still on.
They're the people behind Future Directions. They help keep us focused on what's the next topic that we haven't talked about and how we're going to find the right people from around the world to help IEEE and knowledge in general advance so we can solve problems. So a little bit about batteries, and I'll show you something at the end that I want you to write down. I wear a couple of hats officially and even more unofficially. So what I've done with respect to several of these initiatives is make sure that my own working group, we're the right people and we're moving in the right direction. So I've shared transportation and electrification. I'm currently chairing an AI group within consumer electronics, and the one I keep touching on, which is batteries. So I'm not going to go through every slide, but I want to show you a couple and show you one at the end. Here's the periodic table of batteries. All the world's answers to what are we going to mix up in that electrochemist pot that creates a battery is supposed to be on this chart. Electrochemists around the world said, this is what we have to work with, basic elements, either standalone or mixed up in some sort of compound. Well, they struggled for a long time to make the next generation of batteries come from that chart, and they ran out. But my hat is also off to electrochemists. They found different ways of combining these things to create combinations of chemistries that we never thought about. So all this started 2,000 years ago when the Iraqis created the basic battery, and they used it for electroplating and things like that. So from here, batteries advanced to the point of the lead-acid battery and sort of stalled for a while. You know, the batteries were cheap. They provided enough energy to run an electric vehicle or a conventional car for a while, and things were good. Well, just like your iPhone, the next time you buy one, your battery's not going to last as long. The next time you buy a laptop, it's not going to last as long. So the challenge to make sure that we achieve our goals increases with every generation of electronics. We may say, well, every transistor in the future requires less energy. Yeah, but we use more of them. So the net effect is zero. So really about 5 years ago, all these basic batteries that never ever changed started changing as the demand and the money involved. Everybody wants to be a Bill Gates. Why not? Well, they started working on that chart and figuring out how we can do things better, perhaps even cheaper, perhaps different ways to make sure that the lifetime of the battery is more effective and conserves energy. So all of a sudden, the growth in battery technology is rising almost straight up. So the lithium battery and its problems are not going to hold us back long term. We'll have different combinations of not only lithium, but these other elements I referenced that will drive your future laptop. When? Well, we always say 5 years. That's actually a pretty good projection, but at least the technologies that are going to drive near-term things started 5 years ago. So stay tuned to people like Elon Musk and others who have the vision and the money to invest in all these things to keep your toys going. So in this presentation, we talk about all kinds of people that are doing different combinations of things. You know, sugar, paper, various kinds of graphene devices, and they're being smart about how can I use a little bit of less energy. Like there are some electronic devices that can run on your body from static electricity. And just like our friend on the screen, that's enough juice to drive future sensors that might be monitoring blood pressure or blood sugar or other things that we older Americans and others are concerned about. So here's a mechanical motion. You know, cars driving over that square thing in the pavement. Every time they pound it, the coil moves and a little bit of juice, if you will, is generated. So there's a lot of ways to create energy, and it's going to take the whole world working together, gathering this information and energy to keep us powered. So here's a way to grab RF energy out of the air. Who knew? So all these things will come together to create energy sources in the future. Here's a neat idea. If you're somewhere in the world that doesn't have electricity, you can turn the crank or wind the coil or prime the mechanical pump, if you will, and put a weight up in the air, and as it slowly comes down over the night, it makes the light light up, and your kids can read books and do their homework. So don't give up on different ways of producing energy. Locomotives can pull a big heavy train up a hill, and over the next 24 hours, that train will go down the hill and generate energy. So it's not just chemistry, it's mechanical motion, it's solar, it's wind. We're going to need all these different ways to create high-tech, low-waste batteries that, for example, I'm sorry, but that lithium battery you've got in your pocket, when it's out, it goes to the dump, and it's going to be there for 10,000 years. That's not a legacy we need to leave to the future people of the planet. So we need to have clean batteries in order to not destroy the ground for the next 10,000 years. So lots of technologies, keep track. Elon Musk says he has a solid state battery that I don't have enough time to define, but it is progressing. So in the future, we have to do things some like the past and sometimes better than the past. Like, here's a guy we might recognize, Thomas Edison. One of the things he created was an electric car. Again, we forgot about that and all the learnings of his generation. This particular electric car went for 1,000 miles. I don't see any of the cars doing that right now, but we'll get there. So, sodium ion, fuel cells, all these things this came from the 1960s. That's a fuel cell from the Apollo mission to the moon. So we have to make sure we don't lose track of technology that's sort of in motion, recombine it in different ways to power the future. So one of the things I want to leave you with is we have to keep the people in these working groups talking. Their discussions are often driven by information. What's happening right now by different people all over the world. So one of the things we've done is we've created various information sources within Future Directions and certainly throughout IEEE, so people who have a need to know or have an interest can go there and know what somebody else did on the other side of the planet, maybe as late as yesterday. So we have a network of social media channels. Here's the one for batteries, and it's got almost 15,000 people who check this site once a week, once a month, but they keep up to date. And the information for this topic is updated every single day, along with 11 other topics that represent future direction initiatives of yesterday and today. Those initiatives include battery, AI, big data, cloud, transportation, electrification, a whole assortment of things. Cybersecurity is another one that we were interested in, we are interested in, and there's a few of us that keep this information process up to date, so it's important for the future. Any quick questions?
We'll save questions for later.
Okay. Thank you. The best way to find this is on a platform called Flipboard. Go to your browser and search for Flipboard space IEEE, those topics, or just use my name, Lee Stogner, and you'll see the 11 technology verticals that we push on every day, and one we need that's based on innovation, entrepreneurship, and startups. It's great to have an idea, but if you don't have the spirit, the motivation, and the business savvy to do something with it, you'll lose time. So look at the innovation site for a lot of help.
Thank you very much, Lee.